Hey guys, thanks for joining me. And if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Got a couple of new small fixed blade knives. I've got the Stiffy P, which is short for Pulsar. The P is from Kunwu. Very cool little knife. Link right there to my recent second impressions because I deleted my first impressions video. But very cool. And then I have over here a chitin from Waxed Wing. Very cool little knife. How much flow and shape the geometry of this handle has. Small little fixed blade, full four finger grip, just disappears in the pocket. Just super nice, sharp spine too. Great little knife. But this guy came with well, this guy comes with this appendix, what I'm going to call this appendix carry belt strap, or yeah, belt strap. And this guy came with this type of strap here. Now I'm not going to use them. Just not going to do it. Why? Well, small fixed blades to me are for in-pocket carries. If I'm going to be carrying a knife on my belt, which I do, I'm going to be carrying a big boy. I'm not going to be carrying this small guys. In fact, sometimes, when I'm camping or if I'm at like, a vacation house or something like that, I definitely will be carrying multiple knives. I'll probably be carrying a small fixed blade as well as a a big knife and a folder. So this is a 2.1, and I'm kind of comparing this right now. How is this gonna fit in here? And it looks like I'm not gonna quite get 2 screws in here to use this. I'll just test this out by taking 1 screw and putting it in here, and then seeing if I can fit that other screw. Although it's best to use the receptacle part, the threaded part probably, because that's the biggest part. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. Oh no, sharp ends. What are you going to do? Well, that's why I also got some 3.3s. So Ulticlips, the most views I've gotten on my channel are about installing Ulticlips. I think one of the oldest videos I ever did when I first started my channel was about installing an Ulticlip and reviewing them. And every video I make about Ulticlips gets good views. So every now and then I still make one. So why am I making this one? Well, content is hard to come up with, number one. Number two, recently I've had some people make some comments. So you'll see the 3.3 now is going to fit on this. So how do you know if the spacing is going to work out for one or the other? So this is one of my questions. I just don't know. You're going to have to see. Now, I have multiple knives, and I've used them in a lot of different ways. Now, a lot of people do and or don't use these rubber gaskets here. And I tend to not use the rubber gasket. And I've never had a problem with an Ulticlip getting loose. But for shits and giggles, maybe I'll use them this time just to see, if it really does make any kind of a difference. So how can you tell? You really can't tell. That's why I usually have an Ulticlip of each type. So, if you don't want to spend the $15 on an extra Ulticlip, then my suggestion would be you get both of them, and whichever one works, you return the other. That would frankly be my suggestion. How do you decide how far up and down you want your Ulticlip? Well, that's going to be depending on the thickness of your pocket and how comfortable you feel with how much of the blade showing at the top. So here we have this, loose, and I can have it all the way down to here, or I can have it all the way up to here. Well, I can tell you, I want it as far down as possible with as much for myself of the thing showing. Why? Because I want to be able to grip in here and grab my thumb, and with the thumb scale on the Kyvex, I want to be able to comfortably get this in and out. And if this is all the way up like this, it's just going to make it harder, not impossible, but harder to get it out. This taco sheath with the Kydex over here is my favorite form. The other question that I get is on these videos is, Gosh, that Ulticlip is really hard. I can't even do it. All right, I hear you, buddy. So maybe you from the factory got one of these Ulticlips that is made of unobtainium or is like some kind of crazy strong. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I've never had one like that. I've never had one where I wasn't able to get it off. Now, maybe if you have fingers which are not as strong, which is fine. I'm not disparaging anyone who has fingers that are not very strong, but this is made to be really, really tight so that this is not going to fail. It's going to clamp on you and it's going to stay there through the cold death of our star. It's meant to stay on your jeans until you get this up. Now, if you try to use your fingernail to pry this up, that's going to hurt. So you have to get the flesh of your skin under there to get it off. Never had this is a brand new one. I've never even tried it before. The biggest thing that I've had against this, and this is another question I get. So my answer is I don't know. I don't know. Yes, they are meant to be that tight. That is the point of them. The other question I have got has been, man, you get this great stainless steel knife. You have Kydex sheath. None of this is going to rust except for the Ulticlip, and that is true. I wish that Ulticlip had made them out of a steel or a coating that made them more rust resistant. Do I have an example? All right, so that one is rusted. This one's rusted more. So you'll see here that it's got rust on there. How do you get rid of that? Well, a couple of things you can do. What I do is, and this one had just as much rust on it, and you can hardly see it now. So what I did is I took an eraser and I removed all the rust I could. I cleaned it with alcohol, and then I took lead. I took a pencil and I basically rubbed it with some pencil. For some reason that works. I don't know. You think, well, isn't lead gonna rust? And I don't know. It seems to hide everything. And the other thing too is I guess I don't use lead that much. What I really do is I just rub it with oil, with wax. Once it starts showing that rust, and it goes away. So yeah, I mean the biggest knock for me for Ulticlips is the fact that yes, it will rust if you put it in the situation where it's going to rust. Oh, and again, so it's so strange what will take a 2.2 and what won't. Like this guy, this is the Overland Sport here, and you see how he's close set his guys right there so that it'll take a 2.2. And even on this Big John over here, I could use a big one, but I've used a small one. He's had 2 holes here at the top of his sheath, and it sits inside of a recess, and so I can use that. So it really just depends. It looks like I'm really surprised. I thought I was going to end up using 2 2.2s today. It looks like I'm going to use 2 3.3s. They're the same price, I think. If they're not the same price, they're like, a couple of cents off. They're very close to the same price if they're not the exact same price. So it looks like in this case I will have to use a 3.3. So I think that those are the biggest questions that I get. I get asked about the washers. Why aren't you using the washer? Because I don't really want to. I don't know. And then I get asked about the rust. And the rust, yeah, well, that is a problem. I totally agree. It will eventually rust, and there's nothing you can really do about that. At least that I have been found I can do about it. And then what were the other questions? I already forgot what the other questions were. I think those are the major ones. But it's really interesting how people, and then, how strong it is. Like, oh, that's interesting. So if you do use the washers, what you can do is you take the Chicago part or the threaded part, and my dog just threw himself against the floor above my head so hard that dust rained down. He's getting old, and he's like 15 or 16 at this point. He doesn't have fine muscle control, so now when he goes to lie down, he just throws himself violently on the ground. It sounds like he's trying to bash his head in. It's crazy. Well, he was never known for his brains anyway. Loyalty, yes. Brains, no. yeah, so I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, I mean, which ones are going to work in the long run? That's going to have to be up to you. And then again, like why, like this guy had, and I did use this clip and put it on my belt. The problem with this one in particular is that it's textured here. And that texturing, although it feels great when you're using the knife, actually isn't that great from a practical standpoint if you have a little bit of a belly like me. And so when I'm carrying this, my belly like rides over the top of that, and then it's just uncomfortable having that right next to that all that extra jimping next to my belly. Doesn't work too well. Notice that Travis, who makes these knives at Waxwing, does not have a belly like mine, so maybe he's never noticed that. Um, but anyway, yeah, regardless, I'm a small knife like this. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be taking it and using it as a small in pocket carry. However, I just installed that incorrectly and I put it for a left-hand carry knife. Interesting. Maybe I'll keep it that way. So maybe I'll keep it that way in case I want to carry an extra knife. And I'll have a nice left-hand carry knife too. Sometimes I could put my knives in my car, in my pockets down below, and I have like some Carhartts and some other things that have smaller pockets, and I could also just put that in one of my smaller pockets and clip it on down there. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. Hope I answered your questions about the Ulticlip, and as always, like, subscribe, smash the notifications button, leave a comment. It really helps the channel, and thank you to my Patreon supporters who every month get a chance to win a knife by becoming a member of Patreon, which costs $3 a month, and then they get a chance to win a knife. So yeah, that's pretty cool. See you guys next time on Sharp Ends. Stay sharp, my friends. Bye-bye now.